Hello, I am Winston Thompson and I am 66 years of age. I feel so proud to be that age as a senior citizen. But with that, I have Dr. Mitchell with me here to give us some good advice as senior citizens in our way of living. Doc, even though we have been eating, I think that I'm eating right, what other advice would you give us as senior citizens in our way of life?
Winston, I think that's a really great question. And it's one that comes up all the time because people often want to know what is the difference between the nutritional needs for older adults and for younger adults. And I think what is interesting is that the nutritional needs are not that vastly different. So we recommend that all persons eat a variety of foods from the 6 Caribbean food groups. Now, secondly, I think that we must acknowledge that as we get older, some things change. So our energy needs become a little lower because we may be engaged in a bit less physical activity and our metabolism is a bit slower. But there are no hard and fast rules because everyone is different. I also want to stress, though, to you, Winston, that you're doing things really well at the moment because you acknowledge that eating properly is important. And this is true because in the Caribbean, we have very high prevalence rates of non-communicable diseases. And we know that as we get older, our risk of developing non-communicable diseases actually increase as well. So the foods that we eat and our nutritional status actually determine whether or not we develop a non-communicable disease and how well we may be able to manage or control these diseases. So what I'd recommend to you though, Winston, and to others, older adults and other people who may be looking on, is just that you should, for example, stay hydrated. That's number one. It's very important to drink water. Number two, healthy foods like fruits, nuts, yogurt. I stress those. Number three would be that I encourage you to limit or to reduce consumptions of foods that are high in fat, high in sugar, high in salt, or what we call our processed foods. And then, of course, we love to eat carbohydrates here because they are energy providing foods. But I want to say that foods such as ground provision are a smarter choice than foods like pasta and rice.
But Doc, there are some of us as senior citizens who not really following the labels and all of these things in order to do our right eating level.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to us in that line?
Winston, food labels is something, it's something that's very topical at the moment, not only in Jamaica, but across the Caribbean and the world. And we know that our food labels can be very complex. They're tricky to understand. We acknowledge that. And a lot of the very important things are actually written very, very small. But what I want to tell you is just to look for those three things. Look for foods that are high in fat, sugar, and salt, and try to avoid those. Do a U-turn. Choose foods instead that are low in fat, low in sugar, and low in salt. These are going to serve your body a lot better in the long run.
Doc, there are some of us, and that us mean the seniors.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of problem in doing the exercise that we are to do according. I know that I'm doing exercising fairly well, but there are some of us as senior citizens that is not doing what we ought to be doing in the exercise world. What would you say to us in order to?
Well, I would say that diet and physical activity, they go hand in hand. So you can't have optimal health by just focusing on your diet alone. I would say that you have to focus on both your diet and your physical activity levels. Now, the first rule of thumb is to clear your engagement in physical activity with your doctor because you want to make sure that you do not exacerbate any condition that you may have or to incur any new injuries. Now, the second thing I would want you to take into consideration is the recommendations for Jamaicans who are older. Now, the recommendations actually state that we encourage older people to engage in at least 30 minutes of moderate physical activity. And by moderate, I mean activities such as, for example, doing household chores, brisk walking, for example, or even dancing. These are things that we enjoy doing. These are moderate activities, and we encourage these at least 5 days a week. Now, for some people, they may then choose to do perhaps some vigorous aerobic activity, some running, some jogging, preparing for a marathon. Older adults are a very diverse group. And so people may prefer to do one activity and not another. So I say try a variety of activities and then select the ones that you seem to enjoy the most. But I also want to stress, Winston, that for older adults, we also want you to do some balance activities. Those activities that are going to encourage you to improve your balance and to reduce falls, because falls are not something that we want to have in this age group. And these would be simple activities that you can do at home, such as standing on one leg, for example, or sitting down and standing from a chair without using your hands, or even doing yoga for those who like that form of activity.
Dr. Mitchell, I want to say thanks to you for your very good advice that you have given to us as senior citizens. And I think I have learned a lot from all what you have said to us. And I want you to know that one of these days you're going to see us in the younger world with the advice that you have given us. I want to say, on behalf of our senior citizens, big thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Winston.